Welcome to my channel. My name is Cosplay Vicar, and today in this video I want to walk you through how you can build your own Ghostbusters outfit. Hey, the new film's out, and you could turn up to see that movie wearing a Ghostbuster costume. Can you imagine how awesome that would be? So I want to walk you through how to do it. And the thing about Ghostbusters is there are numbers of different ways of doing a Ghostbuster. You could either go for screen accuracy, where you want to go for something that is 100% like it would have been in the film, as if you had almost walked off that 1984 movie. At the other end of the scale, you could build a Ghostbusters costume that looks just like how you want it to look. So this is something that you feel like what your Ghostbuster would look like. Which is the right route to go? Well, you set the perimeters, so it's entirely up to you. You don't let somebody else tell you how you should build your Ghostbuster. Now, the way that I got into Ghostbusters was I built myself what I thought was a pretty good replica of the 1984 movie, and then over a number of years moved it towards being screen accurate. I wanted to look like I'd walked straight off the set. But that doesn't mean that I moved from being wrong to right. It just means that I chose to go in a particular direction. And you can go in any direction you like. And what's good about this is, as I moved towards screen accuracy, I was able to kind of give to my son bits that I didn't need. And now my son has his own Ghostbusters outfit that for most people, they would look at it and think, well, that looks like it's walked straight from the film. It hasn't. There's little things that aren't quite right. But that doesn't mean it's not fun. And we've recently been to Comic-Con together for the second time dressed as Ghostbusters. So let me just walk you through the options that you have. There's a number of things that you're going to need to become a Ghostbuster before you even start thinking about Proton Packs. One is your jumpsuit, your belt, your elbow pads, and your boots. So let's talk about jumpsuits first. There are numbers of options out there. You could just go on Amazon and hunt down a khaki flight suit. A little bit like this one here. This one was on Amazon about 5 years ago. It's big, it's baggy, it's roughly the right colour. It costs us about £20, and you can get your patches made with your name on it from somebody on Etsy. You get your no ghost patch, you put it on, and that looks pretty good for about 20 quid plus your patches, maybe £35, something like that. So this is what my son wore to Comic-Con. People looked at it and thought it looked fab. He looked absolutely fantastic with it. So this is like your basic introduction. Now, if you want to go for screen accurate, the way to do that is there is a few things that you need to have on your flight suit. A couple of things that a lot of the flight suits don't have. The right flight suits have zips, pockets on the left and the right thigh. And the other thing that they have is what's called a knife pocket. And that's what you're looking for. I can't even put you a link to this one. I bought this one off eBay, off some guy in the US. The one that my son uses was about £20. I think this one was much more like £70 to try and go for something that looked like it was correct for the movie. The other thing you're going to want is the hose connector on the left hand leg. Well, I 3D printed mine. I got this off Thingiverse and I 3D printed it out, and all I did was stitched it on myself. What brand is the flight suit? That's a really good question. To be fair, I don't rightly know, because the label in there doesn't have a brand on it. It just says Coverall Flight Men. CWU27P, which is basically what's inside of this one as well, but this one doesn't have the right pockets on. So I can't give you a solution to tracking down that flight suit, but that I paid about £70 for that if you want to go for more screen accurate with the pockets in the right place. Actually, the £20 one would perfectly work. Okay, let's talk about elbow pads for a moment. So the elbow pads, these are just volleyball knee pads. These ones are relatively new for me. I got these in the last year. These were grey as they came, just like that. They had a sports label on, which I pulled off, and I've stitched a little square triangle to cover up. There's a hole underneath, and that's what they had in the movie. And I think I paid about £15 for those. They're not what my son obviously is wearing, because he's wearing my old ones. My old ones were white, spray paint, grey, stitched my little patch on there, and I cut off the, rather than tucking them in, I cut them off. And they do the job. Grey elbow pads now because I spray painted them. So the difference, you can tell the difference. One's spray painted, one's actually grey. One's easier to get hold of, one's a little bit harder. One you could do for about £6, and one's about £14-15. You can go down either route depending on how screen accurate maybe you want it to be, if that's the game that you're playing. But they're the ones that my son was wearing for Comic-Con recently, and I thought he looked fantastic. Let's talk boots for a moment. On a basic level, a pair of black boots for a Ghostbuster would go down really well. My son wears my Doc Martin boots, but these ones are very similar to the ones that they had in the film, and they're high cut US military boots. These are made by a company, and I'm going to completely mangle this, Corcoran. Corcoran, full force footwear made in the USA. I couldn't tell you how much I paid for these. I just completely have forgotten now because it's a number of years ago. But these are as close with the stitching over the toes, the zip, silver zip down the side. This is what would be very similar to what you see in the movie. Obviously, Peter Venkman, you don't even see his boots because he covers them up. So you could get away with wearing something like a pair of Doc Martens if you want to just kind of introduce a pair of boots of something of that scale. I think these were maybe about £90 to £100 that I ended up paying for them in the end. But you could just go for a pair of black boots if you didn't want to go for 100% screen accurate. I love these. My only tip if you bought a pair of these would be this: buy a size bigger than you need. I bought size 11s and I really should have bought size 12. They're not that big. Let's talk about belts for a moment. So the belts are essentially army surplus belts. You can pick these up online for just a few pounds, not a great deal at all. What colour should you be looking for? That is the big question. So this is my old one. It's khaki, and it's the one that my son now wears. If you want to go for what you see in the film, that's a bit of a debate. Was it white? Was it grey? Depending on the scene, depends on what colour they look. Mine is white that has been just dirtied up, and it now looks like this dirty grey kind of colour. And let me hold those two up. They were probably no more than £8 a belt. They're cheap. They really are extremely cheap. So you could choose, which route you want to go down. I ended up replacing mine with the white and then making it look dirty. The belt has a whole load of things hanging from it. Let me talk to you first about the really cool bit. So this is called the gizmo, and I actually picked this up from eBay. The guy doesn't make them anymore. But this was handmade from a guy on Etsy. This regulates the Proton Pack. So I picked this up on eBay. I'm not sure how much that was now really. Maybe about £45 or something like this. But it's basically 3D printed. The guy 3D printed it and then stuck on some other pieces to make it look like the ones in the film. But this is basically a 3D print. I think it looks great. It's in a leather pouch. And I think that looks fantastic. The other thing that is on the belt for the Ghostbusters is the hose. Their pee hose that attaches to their leg. In Ghostbusters 1, it was yellow. So the cheapest way of doing this is go to B&Q, DIY store, get yourself some white hose, go and get some yellow food colouring, put it in a bucket with some water, allow it to soak overnight, and when you come back, the hose pipe has gone yellow. Yellow hose pipe. The connector to the back of my belt, I just 3D printed myself a little connector so it connects to the back of my belt. Couple other items on the belt. You've got the PK e-meter and you've got the walkie-talkie. This is a Motorola MT500. I could find one of these for love or money, so I 3D printed myself one and painted that up. Cost me very, very, very little. The files for this, I think I picked up off Thingiverse, printed myself out a little Motorola label, and there we have it, the walkie-talkie that you see when they're hunting Slimer. And then the other item is the PK e-meter. Now this I picked up from eBay. The company that make this were called Matty. You can't get these anymore. You can probably pick them up second hand. That's certainly what I did. And the PKE meter is what you need if you want to go spotting ghosts as Egon Spengler. I do like my PKE meter. There are cheaper options on the market now, made by Spirit of Halloween and a few other places. They're not quite as screen accurate, but they do the job. I think this you could pick up for somewhere in the region of about £100 on eBay now. I think I paid a little bit less than that, but I think they're going up and up and up in price. The other options that you can pick up on eBay are more like £20. So there's a number of options, and the holder for this, I 3D printed that myself, so it would just hang on my belt. Pop that down here. One last thing that I would say, I've got also a ghost trap. My ghost trap is 3D printed, and that I walk around holding my ghost trap. You can buy now Spirit of Halloween ghost traps that you can essentially pimp up, make them look a bit better. I have a video of me doing that to one of the ghost traps, and I just walk around carrying this as if I've caught a ghost, and I've got a few lights in there as well. And then the other option, you could pick up some black industrial rubber gloves, and they just hang over your belt for your Ghostbuster as well. One last little thing that I do is this. I wear glasses. My glasses don't look like they're from the 1980s, so I've picked up myself some 1984, I think these are called aviator glasses. I've got the right lenses in there for me, just to transport me back to 1984. The other pair of glasses that I've got, I picked up with some Egon Spengler circular Egon Spengler glasses as well. So you could pick up something like that if you want to, if you wear glasses and you want to kind of transport yourself in time back to 1984. So there's a number of options for screen accuracy and fun. Neither are right, neither are wrong. It's just all part of the fun of cosplay. So depending on which kind of jumpsuit you want to go for, you could build a Ghostbuster for £50 or £60. You know, get yourself a £20 flight suit, a £5 patch, you know, a £5-6 set of elbow pads. Get yourself some black boots, and there you go, you've got your Ghostbuster already. Now, in part 2 of this video, I'm going to talk about Proton Packs, because there are a couple of different options to build your Proton Pack to spend very little, right the way up to spending silly money. And that's entirely up to you. So I'm going to do that in part 2 of this video. You might want to check out different ways of doing the Proton Packs. I hope you find that interesting, a whistle-stop tour of how you might put your Ghostbuster together. If you've done a Ghostbuster or you're doing a Ghostbuster, I'd love to see what you come up with. It's your Ghostbuster. Nobody should tell you what's the right way or the wrong way. It's just your way of doing it. That's one of the things I love about Ghostbusters. You can very easily Ghostbust and cosplay as a Ghostbuster without spending much money, and then you can kind of add to that as time goes by if you wanted to become more screen accurate, but that's entirely up to you. I hope you find that interesting. Until next time, enjoy cosplaying.